Hi everybody, Mr. E here. I've had this book idea, What They Didn't Teach You in College, the Art Ed version. I think that there's no perfect program out there. There's great programs, and I know that many of you attended wonderful universities, but no university can do everything perfectly. There's always little holes that you don't really realize until you get into the schools and you're like, wait a second, nobody taught me how to do this. How am I supposed to handle this situation? How do I do this? How do I do that? You don't know until the rubber meets the road. And one of the things that I feel is parental interaction when it comes to grades. A lot of parents don't understand grading art. And I know that it's even contested within art educators as well. I feel that art can be defined and can be graded as long as you're setting strong, clear objectives that the students can be meeting. But some parents don't get that, and they just see the grade, the number, or the letter on the report card, and then they're just like up in arms. Like, oh, I think Johnny does great artwork. But they don't understand the objectives that you're looking at. So here's some things that you can do that when a parent contacts you, how you can speak to them, how you can share with them in a way that will be able to diffuse the situation. First, make sure that you're writing lesson plans with clear objectives. You have to have a plan of what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what you want the students to accomplish. If not, then how can you assess? Another thing, the next thing really is being able to explain that to the students. Did you write it on the board? Did you talk about it when you were giving the directions? If you did, and you clearly stated the objectives, then the students don't have a huge excuse for, oh, I didn't know. No, you did know. I wrote it on the board. This is how I explained it to you in the directions when I gave my demonstration, blah, blah, blah. They'll know. Then one of the other things I do, and I know that it's different for everybody in every situation, I keep the student artwork for a whole 9 weeks. And if any point in the 9 weeks a parent has a concern, like when we give progress report grades, I welcome them into my classroom and I will lay out pictures in front of them of their students' work. If they ask further, like, well, I think that's fine, then you get examples for students that are above that and below that, and you put them side by side so that the parent can clearly see what is or isn't happening in their own students' work. I had a grandma come in once that was very irate with the artwork, or with the art grade, and she didn't understand. She said, that's not fair, you shouldn't be grading that way. And then I showed her grandson's work, and she kind of looked at it like suspiciously, but then when I laid beside it students that were above and below her student, her grandson, then she's like, oh, I see. He isn't trying. He's being lazy. Bingo. That was what really brought it home for that grandma. Like, she was able to see that and say, okay, I see why he got that grade. I will talk to him. And he did start improving because grandma was on his case. So that's another thing that you can do is if you have access or ability to save the artwork back for the 9 weeks, then you can talk to them about it. One of the other things is also making sure that you let parents know if you have any comments or questions about your students' artwork, please retain their artwork at the end of the 9 weeks and bring it back with you if you have a question for parent-teacher conference or whatever situation might occur. But that allows them to be able to take some ownership in this because, you know, you probably teach a bunch of children, like I teach a bunch of children, and you can't remember every single piece of artwork. You know, when you're doing 2,000 pieces of artwork, 3,000 or more in 9 weeks, then how can you ever remember every single piece that they did? It would be difficult, be very challenging. So put some ownership on them and say, hey, keep their artwork. When it comes home, make a file. And if you have any questions, bring it in and we'll talk about it. But it's really hard for me to remember every single piece that your child did. So you can only speak in generalities when you don't have the artwork in front of you, usually. Or if there's a parent that maybe has questioned you in the past, maybe keep a file on your computer where you take pictures of their artwork throughout the 9 weeks, so that if they do question you again, because there are some habitual questioners, you can easily pull up the images and say, hey, this is what I have saved back, so that I could show you what's going on, so that you can see yourself. This was the objective, this is what I asked them to do, and this is what they gave me. So that can help too. But always keep your calm. You know, you're the professional. You're the one that went to college for this. You're the one that knows what you're doing. Don't get your feathers ruffled